Hello there, marketers, sales bros, sales wizards, and everyone in between. Welcome to the Allbound Revolution, where we make sales and marketing finally speak the same language. Let's get into it. Today, our episode is about automating smarter, not harder, AI and workflows that boost growth. And we're joined by three experts in content strategy. We have Colt Steingraber, demand capture lead, Francisco Aguilar, all-round content specialist, both fellow RPers, and our invite, Nathan Thompson, head of content strategy at Copy.ai. Hey everyone.
Hey.
How are you doing today?
Pretty good. Excited to be here with Nathan. Copy.ai is a favorite. We hosted an event with you guys last year called Southbound. We're doing the same thing this year. So anytime we get to interact with Copy.ai, I feel cooler. So stoked to be here.
Who did you interact with last time? Did you get the
Kyle Coleman? We had Kyle, and he was awesome. So many great takeaways from that conversation.
That's why I'm going to preface this with just lower expectations. To Nathan would be great.
No, I can tell you firsthand, each of these guests will bring a unique perspective on how to leverage AI and automation to drive business growth. And well, just to have like a leveled ground, we just want to have a casual conversation. I'm going to shoot the questions, and please feel free to raise your hand and ask questions too, comments. Everything is welcome here. So let's start with AI and marketing automation. So I'd like to start with Colt and ask, how has AI transformed the landscape of marketing automation, and what key benefits have you observed in your respect?
Yeah, so I mean that's broad. I'll try and limit it, and I guess I started in content writing and content strategy before ChatGPT was a household name. So since then, the last couple of years, I mean, everyone thinks, or a lot of people think first, content creation, and that's great. It's a great sounding board, and it's a great kind of writing resource to flesh things out. But there's a lot you can do deeper than that. You mentioned automation. So I guess my first thought, and something that we're experimenting with Copy AI and some other tools, is dynamic landing pages. So being able to automate personalized content across the landing page experience, whether you're sending traffic to that through, outreach campaigns, or, trying to invite them to an event, or just creating copy that's going to be relevant to them. I think that's a really cool use case. And when you get into data enrichment, the type of personalization that you can create all of a sudden becomes really, really impactful. Other automation, and maybe this is outside of just marketing, but for us, our sales team currently, one of our top performers, Vinny, shout out to Vinny, we miss you. He's on paternity leave, and we've got a ton of deals coming in right now. So it puts more stress on our sales team to prep for deals. And another Copy AI plug here, we can run workflows for pre-diligence that essentially takes all the manual research off of their shoulders, or at least 95% of it. So, they're not spending an hour or two researching prospects before they get on a call. Where we've created workflows where all of this core information that we want to know about them to help have a more personalized conversation and show that we've done our homework, that becomes an automated process for them, giving them a ton of time back. And if you know anyone in sales, time is valuable to them. So I'd say those are a couple areas that I've seen automation work really well.
Definitely. I know it's a broad question, but anyway, I want to keep it broad so we have a unique perspective of each. So why don't we continue with Nathan, and let's hear you.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. It's funny because I don't think that the changes are even done. I think we're still just seeing it change everything as people are evolving with the different types. And 2024, early 2024, I didn't feel like I was making a ton of friends being the content marketer who loved AI, because it was kind of seen as soulless. And I get that. It can be when you outsource your thinking to it. The thing that it's done for me in a few ways is it's allowed me to use the data that we're getting to personalize things at a different level, like Colt was saying. And what I like about that is it's personalization that we're not used to. When we say personalization, a lot of people are like, I've been personalizing my emails. I use that first name field token. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about learning like what the person does and what they struggle with, and offering them a solution that actually helps with that specific problem. Not like, hey, I know what your first name is and where your kid's an alma mater because that's on your LinkedIn profile. It's not the helpful data we're looking for. Maybe for an icebreaker, that's great. So for me, what it's really done, though, the big impact has been to automate a lot of the grunt work that caused bottleneck in the content creation process, because I view workflows as a process rather than like attacking with a task. And then that freed us up to try different things. Like we were able to get a Typeform survey integrated where with AI we could analyze each response granularly to really understand what somebody was struggling with. Could not have done that 2 years ago. So having fun just innovating different ways to help our customers.
Yeah, I love that because it's like it expands what we can do, but it also makes us go deeper. It's like
Yes.
a 3D expansion of our reach, right?
And you used to have to give one of those up. It used to you either had to go broad or you had to pay a ton of money to go deep. And now it's actually, even on a small budget, you can do both. You can just expand.
And now I'd like to hear Fran's take. He's been in like jack of all trades. He's done design, he's done strategy, he's done content, and I know he really uses his AI.
Yeah, I think incorporating AI into your workflow is super important. And as they have said, I think we're not even touching the surface on what AI will become eventually. But I think it's important to see AI as really a collaborator, as a sidekick on the work that you do. And usually the approach that you have to take is that it's basically you are as if you were training a coworker. So you have to start with the basics of what you're trying to do and then start feeding it information so it starts iterating better outputs as time goes on. And it's something that I have incorporated into my workflow, and it has allowed me to free time so I can focus on some other tasks that I maybe did not have time to pay attention to because I was so focused on the repetitive things that had to do with design or that had to do with actually writing. So, yeah.
I love
Yeah,
that.
Fran, you touched on something that I recently did, and I can't believe it took me this long, but creating a specific GPT for RevPartners and training it on our brand voice and our point of view, our full narrative that we spent months creating. Because I got to the point where I'd have such these long conversations with my chat GPT. It would get so slow and I couldn't use it. And then I realized it was just because I kept feeding it too much information. But then when I got a specialized version that just speaks in the Rev Partners brand voice and it knows us, I feel like it knows us better than I know myself at this point. But that was a game changer in terms of being able to rely on it for content output that, didn't you didn't have to spend as much time editing as you did, like prompting it. So good call.
Definitely. It's crazy how you can identify like the blind spots of an AI output. Like, okay, this AI is not understanding this. But then there are so many blind spots we have about what the AI knows, and that's crazy. Like, they know us so well.
And I think that is a really big misconception about AI that initially, I think when it started, we all thought that it was kind of a plug and play type of thing. But it's not like that. You have to train your AI so it does really what you're looking for, and that takes time. But once you are able to kind of invest that time and do the work, AI will end up saving you dozens, if not hundreds of hours.
Hmm. And I'd like to ask each of you, I mean, Colt, I think you've already shared an example, but our audience might be super experts on AI or might be just starting. So I think a specific example on how you use it and how it impacted um, your marketing efforts, that would be great. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So an example, I think that where it can be really beneficial from a content creation standpoint, outside of, hey, I need a 500-word blog on X topic. So we're running these unique plays where there are tools now, RB2B and Vector. You've likely heard of them, where they'll de-anonymize website visitor traffic, and then based on that traffic, we're using a tool called Clay that we can essentially enrich all this data and filter out, who we want to actually get in touch with. If someone was on our website but they didn't convert, well, now we can see them. We can use Clay to figure out, what's their headcount, what's their revenue, what's in their tech stack. We want to know if they have HubSpot. We want to know if maybe they're using Salesforce for sales, but they've got marketing hubs. We're able to enrich that data. And then this is the AI piece that comes in with something like Copy.ai. We can say, okay, here's this contact. Here's all this information we have about them. Now the AI can personalize for our SDR. It can say, well, we can see this in their tech stack. We know that they probably have this integration issue. We know that they're at this level of annual revenue, so they haven't been able to scale past 20 million. We can kind of deduce some of the issues that are keeping them from growing. Do they have open roles on their website? Are they hiring for RevOps? Are they hiring for SDRs? So all of a sudden, we're gathering data, we're enriching it, and then we're feeding that AI. We've said, the AI is only as good as the prompts or, the questions you're asking it or the data you feed it. So when you're able to get that kind of data, it makes the logic so much better. And then, people who complain, well, my AI emails are no good. Like no one takes them seriously. They sound like a robot wrote them. Well, that's because, to me, in my opinion, you don't have a good data foundation. You're not feeding it relevant information that's going to help it spit something out that has the chance to resonate with someone. It's probably uninformed. It's not interesting. And yeah, it sounds like AI. So to me, it's a piece of the puzzle, but there's steps before it. Like there's that de-anonymization aspect. Then there's signal stacking. What pages did they visit on my website? And then what can I learn about them? What's in their tech stack? Who are they as a business? Like those type of things. And then you feed that into AI. And then all of a sudden the output is pretty impressive.
Yeah, you're like describing the whole Allbound workflow.
Yeah, one of them. But that's definitely one that anyone who's interested in kind of like, hey, I want to dip my toes in, how can I start using some of these tools or building, or automating some of my processes for just a bigger reach. That's definitely a play that I would start with.
Definitely. I love it. Now we're going to have to do a lot of concept maps.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Fran, Nathan, do you want to share an example of specific ways in which AI has powered your workflows?
I can share an example. And in this case, now that we're talking about Copy AI, I will say how is it that I failed before and how is it that I won after. And it has a lot to do with what Cole has mentioned, which is being able to write things that are in the tone of the brand and that do not feel robotic. How many times have we read something that we know it's AI because it starts with that phrase over hundreds of years and we can spot it right away that it was AI written. So what Copy.ai does, and a feature that they have that I really love, it's something called brand voice, where you're able to basically explain what the brand is, really what the tone is. We want something that is serious, but it may be like, your knowledgeable friend. So the tone will never be, like they're teaching you something, but more like you're learning from them in a very collaborative way. And the outputs that I've got from it were far better from the ones that I got earlier using another platform. And it read as if someone who knew the brand wrote them. And you, of course, have to kind of oversee the work and make small adjustments. The output was infinitely better for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. I'm not paying him to say that for the record. Thank you, Francis. That's super cool. Thank you. That's great. And if I could just piggyback off of something as well that Colt had said about the data foundation. And we were talking about, like, once you have the data, everything that happens downstream from that. I'm actually going to run the other direction as well, talking about that data foundation and building on it. One of the things that, I don't even care if the sales reps are watching at Copy AI. They were driving me nuts last year, driving me absolutely nuts because they kept saying, what content do we have on X, Y, or Z topic? And I was like, hey, great question for Google. I got stuff to do. I'm busy. Sorry. I feel like marketers can understand that a little. So what we
Absolutely.
did was, so we took AI, the platform, we took our sitemap to load all the web pages. I used Phantom Buster to scrape our YouTube channel and then get all the transcripts in a table. And then all of our podcast data as well, the transcripts, everything. And once they lived inside the platform, it was searchable. So I created something called the Content Finder for our sales team. And they just type in a term and it shows them a report of all the links and the content that we have on that topic.
Wow.
Once that was built, yeah, it was really fun. And then they stopped bugging me about it, and it was amazing. Once that was built, we started to realize, well, shoot, we have all this thing that recommends content, like, based on the problem that's being talked about. We could put this in a sales call follow-up. And so we take a sales transcript, And now the workflow calls to that workflow and says, what content should we put in a follow-up email based on what was discussed? And then it writes out the email in our rep's voice with the links injected for the follow-up thing. The next step from that is account-based marketing. You could fill landing pages with personalized resources. You can have outbound LinkedIn messages with personalized resources. It's really just, though, about feeding that data foundation, like Colt said, making sure that's good. But now all of our net new content gets stored in those tables, so it keeps compounding, and our content database keeps getting bigger and more connected. So for me,
that's really cool.
Yeah, it's connecting sales and marketing in a really neat way.
Yeah. Wow.
That's amazing. And I think that you train the AI, but you also train yourself on how to work with a specific AI. Because sometimes I feel like it's like when you make like a milkshake or something, like you put everything in the blender, and if you don't put like something that's really important, it's gonna taste terrible.
Yes.
And you gotta figure out what's like that little element that you're missing. It's like cooking without salt, or I don't know.
I agree. And I will, and really quick, not to just word vomit over everybody. Yes, I completely agree. If you're missing an ingredient from the blender, I also noticed the two qualities of the workflow builders that have been successful have, hands down, always been both patient and humble. They are okay looking silly and making mistakes in front of their team. Workflows break. It's going to happen. There's going to be this, I don't know what just happened, and I don't know why it happened. I'm going to figure it out. And they've been patient. They can sit down for 4 to 5 hours on a Saturday. You know, we had somebody come back and they were like, I tried this for 10 minutes and I couldn't get it to do everything I wanted it to do. Well, yeah, it's a brand new technology. So those are the two qualities I've seen real successful and the most creative projects come out of.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point to make, Nathan. Everything is so new, and a lot of these technologies, these platforms we're using, they're changing every day. I mean, you've got feature updates and new pushes, and the strategies behind that are changing. And we're in this sort of, we've come out of this growth at all costs. We have to try everything, do everything, throw more money at the problem. And now go-to-market efficiency is really lower than it's ever been, and everyone is feeling the pressure to win and to win now. But customer acquisition costs are higher, so we feel that pressure, but we also don't get allotted that time to figure it out. So people are quick to throw it away or say, oh, well, this doesn't work because we tried this for a month and it wasn't working. And that's why I think there's this new role being coined, the go-to-market engineer, the GTM engineer. And it's someone who understands these technology platforms and how they work, how to make them interoperable and, pass data back and forth, and then be able to report on it in your CRM so you can start making those educated changes. But that doesn't happen overnight. It really doesn't. It takes a lot of trial and error. And like you said, you're going to mess up. You're going to send someone an email that kind of makes you cringe. But someone said to me, we're not heart surgeons, we're marketers here. Like it's okay to make mistakes, and we're figuring this stuff out. And I think reminding yourself to be patient and take your time with it, because there's a reason the world is shifting this way. I'd rather be the person who's been patient and taken the time to figure it out and made mistakes and learned from them for months or even a couple of years, as opposed to being 2 or 3 years from now and have never tried any of this stuff and starting from the ground up. At least that's how I feel.
Well, the gap between you and people who are learning it really well would just be exponentially larger than gaps in the history, because these tools really, they get better and better. But it's funny, GTM engineer, I've been telling people I feel more like a go-to-market plumber and just laying pipes down in the right place and just figuring out what data needs to go where for the inputs and outputs. Engineer sounds fancier though.
We're marketers.
That's right. Yeah, we're marketers, not plumbers. Okay, marketers.
But it's like we make everything sound fancy, even
That's
if
right.
it's plumbing, right?
And you know what? We can all probably agree, and we've seen this on LinkedIn, there is a lot of money to be made in sounding fancy. There just is. However, there's a lot of substance in finding the people that don't. And so really be careful with who you're learning from in this AI space too. There are a lot of people that will charge you $500 to do deep research with ChatGPT. And it's like, well,
right.
I could do that for $200.
Yeah. And I mean, how many LinkedIn posts have you seen in the last 6 months? Comment GTM flow, and I'll show you how I signed 1,000 deals in 1 month using this AI prompt. And it's like, okay. And then you comment it just because you're curious, and then you never even get it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But now you're in their funnel forever. You're never
right.
that funnel.
Right.
So I was curious, Francisco, do you mind if I ask a question? Because you have done, did I hear right that you've done some design work?
I
And
did,
like,
yeah.
how are you, and not to derail everything, how are you finding design impacting marketing with some of this new image generation coming out? Everyone's telling me it's going to replace ad creative, it's going to replace everything. But as someone with design, I'm goofy with design. I'm terrible with it, but I'd be interested.
I think it will streamline the process. As soon as ChatGPT released the image generator, I tried it, and I would say some of the outputs are quite impressive, but something that I notice is that with the prompts that you write, you have to be super specific about what you want. Up until adding the for the colors you want it to be in, the fonts, absolutely everything. And I think it's better, and this might sound like a tip, is basically seeing an ad that you liked, sharing that and being like, I want an ad that looks like this for my product. Here is a picture of my product, and I wanted to say this. And these are my colors. And then it will do the job much better for you because it has a visual reference against just being like, I need this, please do this, because the output might not be what you were looking for. Nonetheless, I don't think it will end up replacing what designers do because you have to be super, super specific to kind of achieve that level of, quality unless you're sharing a visual reference. So I think it will definitely streamline like whenever you're running a campaign on Meta and you need 20 ads, but you might be on a time crunch. GPT might be the option for you where you just need to change headlines. But overall, I think this will allow designers to focus on kind of other tasks that are more complex and that may not be necessarily, as time consuming as doing the work of having 50 ads by end of day or something like that.
Really just love hearing you be very clear on we give AI things for what it's supposed to do to free up time for what humans are supposed to do. I just like that logic a lot. That makes a lot of sense to me.
I actually scraped your profiles, your like LinkedIn profiles from the three of you with Copy.ai, and I generated the questions based on that. So some of the things we're talking about here, I think that Copy.ai knew already. But anyway, actually, one of those things is that in a post, Nathan mentioned that AI allows you to have more energy to be creative on more impactful work. And how do you strike the right balance between leveraging AI automation and maintaining the human touch in content creation?
Well, I got strong feelings on this. I'm gonna go for my monologue here. Sorry, I'll keep it very short, but I have a I have a very clear in my head. I have a very clear system for how content creation works with AI, and to me, it's always broken down into four stages. You have the strategy or the ideas. Why are we going to make something? Let's just not just make it for the sake of it. Why are we going to make it? You have the first draft of it. You have the polish and review portion, the distribution and publishing section. I only use AI workflows for this part of it, for 25% of the process. It just so happens that 25% took 80% of the time. So for me, if you are outsourcing your thinking to AI, that's a problem. Like that's what's going to sound generic. If you let it structure your thoughts and your strategy, then you're fine. That's just having like better workers for you. It's great. Then making sure that this, like the workflows are building everything. So I don't treat blog posts as a task, it's a process. Our workflow will do research externally, look at our sitemap for relevant content. It'll look at what's ranking for content gaps that we should be filling that would be unique. How can we optimize this for chat search now that people are using Perplexity and chat search tools? Things that would have taken humans so long to do. But then once that draft is done, always an editor in the loop, always will go in and make sure that it sounds. I have different editing criteria depending on what stage of the funnel. So our top of the funnel is accuracy and helpfulness. Those are the two need to be great. But I don't care if someone calls me out for the word robust in like content marketing 101 because that's not an article that's moving the needle at all. It's just helping. That's fine. And then distribution and publishing. If you've ever seen really bad AI on LinkedIn or a blog, it didn't publish itself. That's still a human problem that somebody said, this is good enough for me. Click. That is not AI's fault. So get mad at the person, not the tool. And so for me, it's very clear I will use humans for strategy, editing, and distribution, but we'll build these workflows to get us to that first draft. So that's my.
And I'm just going deeper in the editing process for a completely personal interest.
Yes, please.
Do you use other tools for editing? Because I've been trying to use this thing, the Hemingway editor. I don't know if you've tried
Ooh,
it,
yes.
and it's very strict. He is like a like a Hemingway.
Oh yeah, they'll cut that down very quickly. So we use ClearScope for SEO editing. Then I have our brand's guidelines and voice baked into the workflows to come out on the other end, because it does have to use certain language. Go to market AI, go to market, bloat, all those category languages that we want in there. And then I have no problem saying we use ChatGPT. I have a custom GPT built for fast editing that just gives me, like, overseeing the editors, run it through. Are there any big red flags that are just like, needs to be checked? And that way I can quickly build confidence with it. But again, I view that as like a task, not a process, because I'm just quickly looking at it. So I will use our workflows for any process that we're doing, but I'm fine with any chat tool for tasks.
Cool.
Nathan, I have a question. Something you mentioned just a second ago was the influx of people using chat and replacing search engines, right? So Perplexity, and that I didn't realize Copy.ai can help you optimize for AI search, which is so interesting to me because I've been trying to figure that out. Um, is doing a really good job in AI search results, and in Q1 we saw 5 or 6 deals come from ChatGPT and a few from Perplexity. And I'm getting asked, hey, what are we doing to fuel that? And my answer is, well, I've been doing SEO for 8 or 9 years. And it's like, well, we have a really great SEO strategy. And I guess it's, based on our external links across the internet, the fact that we're putting out content on our website all the time, we're active on LinkedIn. But I don't have a smarter answer than that. So I'm curious if you have sort of guiding principles for optimizing for AI search.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, if you'd like, I wrote something about it's the most handwriting by hand I've done in a long time, because I wrote it on an airplane and the Wi-Fi was terrible. So I was like, I'm
I
too
love
excited.
writing on airplanes. I feel like I'm the star of my own movie, main character energy, right?
So I wrote this. I was too excited about the idea around it, so I just started writing. And then we have a channel with OpenAI, and I wrote to them saying, is this spot on, or am I just making all this up?" And so he took it to the team and said, "Nope, this seems to be right on." And we keep having more and more demos each month from ChatGPT specifically, which makes me really
Yeah.
excited. So I can share an article after this. The biggest thing it seems like is, even cutting the fluff further from what SEO's norm, which is almost like FAQ style stuff. So on a personal website, I built 2 workflows. One builds a blog post for Google. That kicks off a workflow with the same keyword for an FAQ optimized for chat search. And the idea
Okay.
is 2 pages for every one keyword, which I know is supposed to be cannibalization, but in different
Right.
sections. One's a blog post, one's in an FAQ section. And I've been playing with that. I will say, looking at the rankings, the FAQs are even doing better on Google. So it's too early, though, for me to say anything like an expert. I don't want to pretend to be more of an expert on that than I am. And we are seeing better results, so I will share that post.
Yeah. I would love to check.
I love that they're keeping it in a black box because they're gonna keep us busy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We're gonna keep it fun.
Yeah, they just like to tease us with these little little tips. That that might
It's
be
like
kind
a
of
little
right.
challenge for all of us. I just took a course on that, Colt, and it is super interesting. Like I was trying to like my final conclusion was like optimize it for humans so that AI like takes it. But that's very subjective.
But it makes sense by their business. I mean, their business model is to make people happy. Like Google's does not beholden to marketers; it's beholden to searchers. And so it's
Right.
however gives them the information they need. It's why when people started crying about the featured snippets being done with AI or those whatever that rollout, Google does not work for us. They don't owe us anything. They are trying to serve people looking for information, and it's our job to make it easier for them to do that. Is my view,
Right.
but it's not a popular one.
Definitely.
I'm just happy we can start searching for recipes and not having to scroll a 1,000-word blog, learning about the family history. And yeah, I just need the recipe.
Do you know how many chocolate chip cookies my son did not get because of that problem with the internet?
Right.
I
You just give up.
Yeah,
Just
just
give
give
up.
up. I'd say you're having a
Yeah.
popsicle. Have
That's
at it.
Right.
pure evil. Okay, so we have like 1 minute left, and I wanted to ask so many more questions. But I think the conversation has been amazing. I think each of you can share a final thought and summarize everything we've just said. No, I'm kidding.
Right.
Just a final thought to close and say goodbye because we're kind of over time now. Do you want to start, Fran?
I think it's important that we start seeing AI as a collaborator. Basically, it's executing the strategy that the humans are crafting. So just like Nathan and Cole have kind of exemplified, it's important that we are really clear with the prompts that we give to AI. So it feeds on that information and the output is of a certain level of quality. And with that in mind, whenever we get an output, it's really important that we don't just accept what AI is delivering, but we still review it to make sure that it's up to the standards that a human would have, and that we're open to using AI in different aspects of our work. Yeah.
Thank you, Fran. Colt, do you want to follow up?
Yeah, I think the big takeaway from me is technology is changing rapidly. The buyer journey is also changing. It's not linear anymore. And that's why you have this influx of all these new tools, these shiny objects that say they can solve all your problems. And there's truth in that. But where a lot of people are missing and they give up on it is they think the tool alone is going to solve their problem. That's not the reality. Systems will solve your problem. I mean, we heard Nathan say, we have processes, we have an organized approach to how we think about something. And we riffed on the term or the role, the GTM engineer. There's a need for that in organizations that historically have inbound and outbound separated. You have to break down that barrier, those silos. They can't operate anymore. And that's why we preach, this Allbound narrative. It's not necessarily new, but the structure of your team should be new. Yeah, I know I could talk forever, but oh, sorry. I thought you were pointing to your watch. I thought that was the cue. I thought it was the Oscars music.
Hilarious, the wrap it up
Yeah.
box.
Yeah, right. It's time to go. But what's changing is how you need to structure your team and who is ultimately responsible because marketing will always be creative first and successful marketing comes from a creative place. But there is this aspect of the systems configuration and that's where creativity and systems configuration, having this person who can own that, I think that's where people are going to be the most successful is when they start thinking about building systems and not just stacking tools, but creating a system that works, that data foundation that you can enrich and then use AI to, that's where you see efficiency and success.
Awesome. Nathan, final comments.
Yeah, I'm really happy you brought up the creativity part of it because I think a lot of marketers are threatened that AI will take that away, even more than taking their jobs. They're worried it's going to take away the fun from their jobs. And a metaphor that I am exhausting ruthlessly right now is the idea of like people think we're operationalizing content like a factory, and so in their head they see it like Henry Ford, and it's all black and white, and the same thing is coming out of production line. I like to think of it more as like Willy Wonka. It's still a factory. It's still the same efficiency. You just have different inputs designed to create different outputs. But I like to remind people you don't get the chocolate river without first laying the pipes. You need the pipes down, and then you can choose what you build. Make it as fun and creative as you want. You just gotta get that system in place first. So yeah. I really am hoping more people start moving that direction.
You're gonna make me cry, Nathan. I love the metaphor. It's because right now I'm building my own system for content using AI, and
yes, and it can be fun.
Like time demands are harder. It's like you gotta do it faster because now you have this tool, and it's like, okay, yeah, but I still want to make it fun and beautiful, right?
Yes, fun and beautiful, and that's possible. It is, I believe.
Yeah, me too, definitely. Okay, so guys, thank you so much. I've learned so much today. I'm left with so many ideas using AI as a collaborator, having the systems in place, having the Willy Wonka chocolate factory and not the Henry Ford factory. I think all of this is going to be super useful for the audience. I know it was for me, and I hope to see you in future episodes, definitely.
Yeah, I'd love to come back anytime.
Thank you so much for having us. This is great.
Thank you, Tim.
So, see you. Thank you for coming to the Allbound Revolution. Bye-bye.